I'm sorry, buddy. I got my parcel yesterday.
That's all right. Hey, friends. Welcome once again to the Panel Jumper Light. My name is Ben. With me, as always, is Cole Hornaday, my friend, and the Panel Jumper himself. Hello, Cole. How are you?
Hey, Ben. So, are you wasting?
Oh my God! Well, we had a Zoom chat last night, and I put this hat on just for to just because, and now I think this is my quarantine look.
Is this your new brand? Because I'm sorry, my friend. It just looks like you're searching for your lost shaker and salt. Man, I'm losing my words already. Damn it! Your lost shaker and salt. Can we move on? You talk somebody.
Okay, I'm going to. Yeah, I have to. I have to wait for you to finish talking before I speak. It's a delay thing in the stream, so don't worry about it. That's on me. Anyway, we're glad you're with us again. Once again, thank you for joining us. And this is This is April 26th, part 3. Holy God, this is so annoying. It's not my internet. I think it's my computer. But anyway, so Cole Hornaday, let's talk about things that are happening in the comic book industry. I actually just saw today, I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this, but Diamond has decided to start the process of delivering comics again to retail stores. They're going to try to do that. They're taking orders from DC and all the other publishers, and they're going to try to kickstart it around the middle of May.
Okay, I don't all, because that means that there's going to come a point when we're trying to get out of the quarantine where people are going to be pushed. Their hands are going to be pushed. And because we're closest to our friends in the comic book industry, what really, really bothers me is that if you are going to be shipping comic books to stores in the middle of May, that means you're forcing people to go in and work in the stores. And you're not really checking in the individual policies being established by local government or the governors of individual states. You're forcing that hand, and all of a sudden you're not my hero anymore, Diamond Distribution. You're pushing, if you're going to start pushing this, I'm seeing a lot of reckless behavior happening. So my attitude about them is kind of shifting back to them being a little bit monopolistic. But we'll see.
This may change your mind because they have not said that anything is for sure. It's still up in the air. They still have the right to change their minds, but they do say that they're working on a mid to late May resumption of weekly comic distribution. But numerous factors will affect the actual date they are able to deliver their first weekly shipment. So it's still what happened there? It's still not a for sure thing. I think a lot of factors are still coming into play, but they're trying to get the mechanism started again.
I understand. I'm just worried that with retail is outside suppliers, marketers, what have you, pushing the hands of the local retailers, and I'm afraid that's what's going to start happening, because it can't be a hard start at all. It's like, we know this. It can't be a hard start for anything, but also we're not talking about how we're going to live going forward. It's like, how long are we going to wear masks? Should I be investing in more heavy-duty industrial strength masks? Should I be wearing rubber gloves every day when I go out, even though the policies have been dropped? Because I think that's what we're going to have to do until we see a vaccine. So that's me.
Yeah. For everybody watching, I don't know, Cole's image just keeps moving around. I keep having to fix it. I don't know what's going on there.
What's it do?
It's just moving around. Ah, there it goes again.
I'm seeing.
All you're seeing is what you're seeing on is just me. So I'm
just seeing you in the marvelous Jimmy Buffett hat.
Anyway, moving on. So if you haven't already gathered, Oh, that is going to irritate me so much. If you haven't already gathered, since we stopped doing the podcast, this is basically just a way for Cole and I to keep up on the comics news and to talk about it. And another thing that happened is that Marvel has furloughed some of their staff. And a lot of their, I'm sure their administrative and what the article says, their editorial staff as well. And Cole, you mentioned last night as we were virtually drinking that all the artists and writers are all freelance, so it doesn't really matter if the administrative staff is furloughed.
Yeah, the administrative staff is furloughed and probably covered under the company benefits insurance. But I don't know how the contractual agreements work at Marvel anymore. I thought that they would contract, big gun artists, but everybody else was still freelance, which means you're SOL when this sort of thing happens. I could be wrong. I would love it if someone from the industry would actually correct me. I didn't take the time to look that up to see if that was the case, but because they're all, I just once Marvel got bought by Disney, and DC is now owned by Warner. I still don't see that they changed their policies with regards to individual creators' contracts is concerned. Are you still being perturbed by?
Oh yeah, if I'm shaking my head, it's not at you.
Because I have no idea what I look like. Because I was gonna start fucking with you.
Yeah. No, you can watch this later and see what it looks like. I don't know what's going on. I restarted my computer and everything. In the UK, furloughed staff get 80% of their regular salary, but guess what? In the US, they don't, but they still get their health benefits.
Okay, I did look it up right before we started talking, and yeah, as a rule, you still not. It's not. I mean, it's company by company policy, so there's no guarantee that if you get furloughed by somebody, you're going to get the benefits. But you definitely are not getting your salary, and you are free to go get work elsewhere. And I'm like, well, that's convenient, isn't it? So I don't know. I have not. What I see right now, though, is like on Twitter, I see a lot of artists. I see a lot of artists contributing their work to online auctions that are supporting their community and supporting the retailers. I'm not seeing anybody crying out and saying, I'm destitute because I got furloughed as an illustrator or a letterer or an inker or colorist. I'm just seeing a lot of them putting their work out there to help rally and raise money for others in their community, which I think is extraordinary. But so I don't know. I could be wrong about how that furlough thing works and how their contracts work out. I'd be happy if I was.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been in a job where I've been furloughed, and so I don't really know the mechanics of it. But seeing that they get their health benefits is nice, at least.
Yeah. This is a bad time to be without health insurance. That just kind of goes without saying. But yeah, I don't know. I should check in with my friends in the comic book industry and see how that's working out.
Yeah, and we'll check back in with them on the next Panel Jumper Light if I ever get if I get all this stuff smoothed out, or maybe I'll just do these from my office where I have a stronger computer. Anyway, moving on.
Digga-ding, footloose and fancy free.
I love a Muppets reference. Anyway, hey, so the Star Wars galaxy is expanding. Variety has reported that Leslie Headland, who, and in this article from Gizmodo says, wowed us with the time loop dark comedy Russian doll, is to helm another addition to Disney Plus's swath of Star Wars original content. Cole, you're not a big fan of Russian Doll. I never saw it, but this is going to be basically a female-centric Star Wars TV show.
I love that idea. My first thought was if you've had the character Cara Dune, who's in The Mandalorian, we get to see her. Can you bear with me a second? I just got a Cara Dune action figure. Hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we can see the kaiju sitting on the table behind Cole, so it looks like we got some King Kongs and some Godzillas.
Yeah, there's Bing Bang Boom, 2 Godzillas, 2 Kongs. These are all my giant monsters, like I need any more of them, right? But, yeah. Anyway, so, hey, check this. So this is from the latest series from the Star Wars Vintage Collection, which is basically the only Star Wars action figures I collect anymore. They're beautifully articulated with like 18 or 19 points of articulation, and the cards are numbered, and we're up to 164 now. And these are the ones I collect. I put in the plastic cases and hang on the wall in Mister's room or my comic book room or whatever you want to call it. But they did 3 figures for The Mandalorian, and I have yet to get the Mandalorian figure, but I got the Cara Dune figure, which I love so much. I love it because she's a heavy-duty, athletic-looking woman with big arms and a big body and body armor, and she's sexy as hell, but she's not svelte and delicate. She's strong and empowered, and I would love to see her in this character in the new Star Wars series. That's all I had to say.
Yeah. You and I have seen the first 4 episodes of The Mandalorian, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest. But I just heard, I don't hear anything. I read today that there's a season 2 of The Mandalorian in the can, and they're working on it, and they've greenlit a season 3.
Sure. The show is incredibly successful, and for a number of reasons, but one of the things I love about it is that, it's in the Star Wars universe, and it does a little bit of fan service here and there, but it's not married to it. And the tone of the show is it's like a Western. And I remember George Lucas saying when Star Wars came out, it's like a Western. I remember my dad took me to see Star Wars. He said, this is just like a Western. Bad guys wear black. The only difference is that the good guy doesn't kiss his horse and ride off into the sunset at the end. And that's a quote from Dick Hornaday. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I was not familiar with the classic kind of movie serial Westerns that Dad grew up with. I was clueless as a child. And as I got older and I got better versed in Westerns and whatnot, totally see what he was doing, and how they embrace that in The Mandalorian is really great. But the best thing about The Mandalorian is that there's nobody there
Yeah, exactly. Denny, your friend of mine, embedded photographer Denny Chong, says on the chat that the actress who played her in The Mandalorian is an MMA fighter, one of the first female MMA fighters.
Well, that makes a boatload of sense, that doesn't. So she's in the episode that's very clearly an homage to Kurosawa's Seven Samurai or The Magnificent Seven. But there's just the 2 of them. But it's the same plot, where they're protecting a village from the alien raiders.
Yeah. In fact, Amy says that Nick says they're little samurai movies.
They are samurai movies.
Sidebar.
Yes.
A woman I know who was in a play with me at Annex is now a MMA fighter.
Get
I'm
out.
out. That's what her. She's got a Facebook fan page and everything. No, she left town like in 2001. I haven't honestly seen her since we did this show. But
okay.
Yeah, Kiana Raid, look her up.
All right. Well, I would just I went to high school with an American Gladiator, but that American Gladiator came to a very, very sad end. So, yeah. Oh, it's really hard for women to find places where they can be empowered that way. And so I think it's very cool that this one was an MMA fighter, but she also was not a shabby actor. I really enjoyed watching her.
Yeah.
I don't know the actor's
I can
name.
look it up. But while I'm looking it up, I'm going to talk about our next and final subject of this evening, which is that the city is seeking a graphic novel artist to use the Fremont and University Bridges, University Bridge Towers as studios. Now, this is not the first time that the city has enlisted isn't the right word, but the city has asked artists of some discipline to reside in the towers and create a piece of art that reflects the towers, these bridge towers and the city. They've used writers and musicians in the past, and now they're doing graphic artists.
So they get a grant, right?
Yes, they do get a grant. They get a $10,000.
It's just not. It's not just free creative studio space. They get some money.
Yes, they get $10,000, and the residency is 3 months, and I think they get to choose what period of time within those 3 months they can reside in the towers. $5,000 for the actual living there, and $5,000 for the piece that they create, which will be either a show or an online presentation. It does say that this is all dependent on the COVID-19 situation. They can not reside there if it is in the public health interest.
So I remember we were speculating about whether that artist has to share that space with the bridge conductor.
Right. No.
Do we know?
No, it doesn't say in the article whether or not they have to share that tiny little space.
Yeah, because there's two houses, right? There's two engineer houses. There's on either side, aren't there, or just the one?
I think there are two. I don't know if both. Like if because the bridges, they're drawbridges like this, right? I don't know if this is operated by this tower, and if this one is operated by that tower, or what, or if they're both operated by one tower, and so I don't know. And
okay, fair enough.
And it doesn't say in this article.
All right, I just always been fascinated by the whole thing because I remember when they offered it to writers a couple of years ago, and I was like. And I think someone was encouraging me to apply because I was out of work at the time. But I really felt I was a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, no, I'm not that kind of writer. It would be fun. It would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be fun for a little while. I don't think I would enjoy actually living there all day. And all night, I don't know what the application doesn't say if you're only there for 8 hours or 6 hours or 5 hours or whatever. I think you get to make the decision, or if you have to live there.
Yeah, that's kind of problematic. But at least people would, you're off the street level, so people wouldn't be walking by and gawking.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I mean, there would be too many distractions, I think.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I couldn't focus.
So Cara Dune is the character's name in The Mandalorian, right? The MMA fighter that we were talking about? Okay.
That's right. See, it's got her name on the card and everything.
Gina Carano is the actress's name.
Yeah.
And she's been in a number of things. She played Angel Dust in Deadpool. She was in one of the Fast and Furious movies. And I watched Hobbs and Shaw recently, a Fast and Furious movie, because it's just a goofy high action, high octane car movie with The Rock and Jason Statham, and it was delightful. And I'm legitimately considering going back and watching all the Fast and Furious movies. I don't know why, but I might do that.
I just like fast car movies when they're driven by guys in mohawks and leather and they have a lot of Gatling guns.
Yes, I said last night that I might go back and just rewatch Mad Max Fury Road. I didn't.
How'd that work out for you?
I didn't watch it. Because you recommended a movie to me, Wandering Earth.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch that either. So, for those of you watching at home, Cole and I had a 2.5 hour Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it was a meeting. Sure. We talked stuff.
Yeah, we talked business for a while, and then we just started BSing and drinking. It was like, hanging out in a bar, except we're in our own apartments. And by the time we were done, I was just like, I was not in the mood to watch a Chinese apocalypse movie.
Fair.
Yeah, so I think I watched like 2 episodes of Community, and then I went to bed.
I understand. I was no good for anything, so I actually sat and watched. Mr. and I watched 2 movies last night. We watched Little Monsters with Lupita, and I always mispronounce her last name. Oh, and I love her too. She's so awesome. She was in Us, Lupita Nyong'o, and then I watched Nikkei, which I've never seen before. Little Monsters is surprisingly sweet and endearing zombie movie with kindergartners. Not joking around. And Lupita she's just as radiant. I just think she's an amazing actor, and I need to pay more attention to what she does. Have you ever seen 13 Assassins?
I have not. No, I haven't. I was gonna try to list off the Lupita Nyong'o movies I have seen, but that was
Us. And
Us. I've seen Us. I've seen. Well, she plays Maz in Star Wars.
Oh, she does the voice. Yeah. See, I had no idea that was her. That's I'm a terrible person. I had no idea that was her. Yeah.
Gilson on the chat says no, Ben, no, and I was trying to figure out what he was referring to, but I think he's talking about me watching the Fast and the Furious movies. Don't worry, Mike, I'm not going to actually watch them. Lupita, she was also in the Black Panther movie, of course, and
yes, of course.
I have not seen 12 Years a Slave, but it is on my list.
I have not either.
She won an Oscar for that one, right?
Yes, she did. Yeah, and like I said, I was watching her in this. It's made in Australia, fairly low budget, narrow scope, really pretty charming, and I think that's where good actors really shine. It's like, this is a silly script and a silly story, and you still are shining through all of this, and you're authentic as all get out. And I'm an actor, so yeah. I just need to pay more attention to what she does.
Indeed.
But 13 voted on that a while ago. It's Takashi Miike, who's famous for a lot of his like really super duper creepy, scary, icky movies. And this is it's really more or less his version of Ride. Only there's 13 of them.
Well, you had me. What's that line that Leonardo DiCaprio has in Django Unchained? At first you had my interest, now you have my attention. Something like that. You had me at 13 Assassins, but you sold me at Takashi Miike.
And I have a love-hate relationship with that guy because he can be so brutal and so violent. And there are these touches in it that are kind of outrageously gory. But for the most part, it's set in Edo period of Japan period that all of our favorite, Kurosawa samurai films are set. And so we're familiar with the look. I was watching it going, well, I know all the rules here, and I'm not 100% well versed with Japanese culture, but there's the manners, there's the politics, there's the social expectation. The guy, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but he opens with a lord committing harakiri, and that's what sets the tone for the film. It's all about, and it's actually incredibly timely because they're going up against a path who's in line for rulership with the shogunate, and so that's the plan: is we got to take this madman out before he gets into a position of control and leadership. Sound familiar? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I recommend
13 Assassins. How do I watch it? Is it on Netflix?
It is streaming on Hulu.
That's the one I don't have.
They've got it on Netflix on disc, and they've got it. You have to pay for it you have to pay your additional $3.99 on Amazon, I think.
All right.
Sorry,
well,
buddy.
I have no problem paying $3.99 for a movie. I recently. Well.
Especially when I already have access to something. It's like, why are you dinging me again?
I know. We've talked about, the streaming wars ad nauseum on the Perfect Bound podcast, and I pay for 3 streaming services, and I always go through and look for the movie I want to watch in the moment on all the 3 services. And if it's not available, then I will actually buy it on Apple if I'm in the mood to watch that movie. Most recently, I watched a sort of mini YouTube documentary on John Candy, and so I'm like, I gotta watch Uncle Buck again because I haven't seen it since it was like maybe I was in college. And so I bought Uncle Buck on iTunes, and I bought it. I rented it for $3.99 plus tax, and watched it. So if 13 Assassins is not available on any of the streaming services that I subscribe to, then I'll buy it from iTunes and I'll watch it.
I think out of all the streaming services, Hulu is the cheapest. I think I only pay like $7 a month for it.
Yeah, but that rivals Disney Plus, right? I don't know what Disney Plus starts at, but I know it was like super cheap.
I keep waiting for someone who loves me to give me their Disney Plus passes. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's all the things on the list I had for today. Cole, do you have anything you want to bring up?
I now that I'm down to the bottom of my stack of reading materials, courtesy of the pandemic, I'm now hitting my stack of 14 times that go back a year, and I love this magazine. But as I've said numerous times, it's dense and it's thoroughly researched, and the plot point is hard on my eyes. But I do love it, and every time I sit down and read it, I finally reached the February 2019 issue. This is how far behind I am. But it's number 376, and there's this great full-page article on the beloved wombats of Australia. And there's been the beloved wombats of Australia. Did you know, Ben Laurance, that wombats poop in cubes?
I did not know that. That's a fascinating little factoid.
They poop in cubes. Verily, that means they shit bricks. And these little guys, because they're vegetarians, I mean, they are creating a lot of fecal matter, like hundreds of pellets a day. And there has actually been a woman, okay, this material is, remember, is over a year old, but there's a woman from Georgia Tech, an institution I have no fond memories of, is actually, got grant money to study how wombats make their poop cubes. And what how their digestive tract does this. But all I could think when I'm reading this article is, if wombats had thumbs and enough lower back support, they could build their own homes with their poop cubes. They could make poo glues. Poo glues.
Yes, they
is all I have for you
They
today.
could. I'm going to have to get up, but I think you can see me as I walk past. And I showed you this yesterday, but I'm going to show you, the viewing audience at home.
I hope the kids at home are enjoying this. What do you got, buddy?
I, too, have some 40 and Times books. I have Strange Days #1 and Strange Days, wait for it,
right,
#2.
What?
I don't know how I got these books. Like many of my possessions, the provenance is lost on me. I don't know if they were given to me. I don't know if I bought them. I don't know if I if I took them from, or if I bought them from like a garage sale or something. They might have been Paul Goody's when I helped him. One of the many times I helped him move.
Oh, hey Ben, I think that's where they made it. Because when you showed it to me yesterday, I was like, those look really familiar. I think that's where they came from. Because Paul said, pilfer my shelves,
yeah,
and we did.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think anybody gifted them to you because you just don't have, you have not cultivated enough weird friends. I'm sorry. You don't have enough weird friends who are literary enough to be reading this magazine. So.
Yeah, you're right. Also, Poo Glues is a big hit on the chat.
Thank you. I spent a whole 20 minutes coming up with that one. Just wombats with thumbs, people. The world would be a different place.
Anyway, that looks to be it for today, unless you have anything else.
Okay. I don't.
Yeah, me too. All right. It's been a show, hasn't it? All right.
Yes, it has. We through, and you did a great job.
Thank you. It's just so frustrating when there's like things are happening. I don't know why they're happening. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who's stuck with us and who's participating on the chat. Amy, Denny, Manager Mike has also been here. Thank you all for sticking with us. This was part 3 of the Panel Dripper LITE for April 26, 2020. I saw on Twitter recently that somebody was like, maybe this is just like 2020A, and next year we'll have 2020B, and we'll try to do it all over again. But with that, I think we're gonna say that the show's closed. Again, thank you all for joining us, and we don't know when we'll be back, but we'll schedule that right now, and we'll let you know. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
Bye. Good job, man. I'm gonna get booze.